everyone, and welcome to the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. On today's episode, I wanted to introduce you to the TK7 Rapidmask panel. Now, I've been getting a lot of requests to do this video, so today I thought I would tackle it. Today is basically going to be an introduction to the TK7 Rapidmask panel. It's really cool, and I think this will really tweak your interest so you can see just how powerful this tool is in helping you to really balance out your images and get really beautiful results. So let's get started. We're working with the stock image today, and I'll link it in the description below in case you want to download it and work along with me. I'll also link in the description below the link to Tony Kuiper's site where you could take a look at his Luminosity panel. I'm not affiliated with him in any way. I just love the panel, and I just want to share this with you guys. Okay, and but today we're basically going to be looking at the Luminosity Mask, which is this section right in here. These would be your lights, and these would be your darks in this section here, and also midtones here. Now this section right here is dealing with zone masks, kind of like and it really not kind of like, it's like what Ansel Adams used the zone system. We'll get into that in a later video, but for now we're not going to work with that. This section right here, section 3, is where you can modify the mask that you've made, and we'll play around with this a little bit, mainly this level slider right here. And the output section right here, this is where we output our mask to whatever we want, and there's tons of options here. It's awesome. So again, this is an introduction to the Luminosity panel, the TK7 Rapidmask. So don't worry, it would take a year to go over everything in here. There's so much goodness in here. There's actions, there's tons of stuff in here. Okay, but we're starting out with the Luminosity Mask. To help us understand things a little bit, I've made this gradient here so we can see. And basically what we have here is our darkest tones of an image down to our lightest light tones of an image, okay, and all the tones in between. Now just a little background on a layer mask. A layer mask basically can either be black or white or various tones in between. So whenever anything is black on a layer mask, it will totally conceal an adjustment. Anything that is light or lighter gray tones or darker gray tones will start to reveal parts of the subject in the adjustment. So it's good to understand that from the start, so this will all make more sense to you. This area of the panel, everywhere you see represented in this blue outline here, is the TK7 Rapidmask panel. There's tons in it. There's no way I could explain it all to you today. It would take a year to get it all sorted out for you. So this is basically an introduction to the Luminosity Mask portion of the TK7 Rapidmask panel. And that's this section right in here. These are our Luminosity masks. And you'll notice it says lights here and it says darks here. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the darks, these are the lights, and these are the midtones. This is basically what we're looking at today, these areas here. This section right here where we can modify, we're going to be playing with this levels adjustment here a little bit, and we'll get into that a little bit later. And there's different things that we can do to our mask. We're not going to get into any of this today. And then we can output the mask to different adjustment layers and things like that. We can do so many things to it. But again, we're just going to start with the basics here, just to give you a nice introduction. By the end of this video, I think you're going to say, man, this Luminosity panel is amazing. I must get it, okay? And again, I'm not affiliated with Tony Kuiper, but I just love it. And I think you'll agree when I'm done here. All right, so let's start out here. Now, we have this gradient here going across here. So I want to show you, when I click on the one of the lights, you'll notice nothing happens, but all the light areas are being selected here. Even these gray tones here, but the blacks are not being selected. Now, when I click the 2, we're seeing less of the dark tones being selected, and we're narrowing down the white tones. We go to 3, we're going to narrow down the white tones even more. We go to 4, we're going to narrow them down more. 5, even more, and 6 even more. Now let's go to the dark tones. Let's start with 1. Now we're losing all the very light tones, and we are seeing more of the dark tones being selected in a layer mask. Remember that. Now let's go to 2, Okay, we're seeing less of the dark tones being selected. We're narrowing them down. Let's go to 3. So we can target just certain dark tones of our image or certain light tones. Now let's go to 4 and 5. Okay, we're selecting less dark tones, but the light area is just saying we are selecting darker tones here. And now we'll go to 6, and we're just selecting a very narrow range of dark tones here. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an understanding of what's happening here. And now we're going to actually work on an image, and you're going to see how this works in the real world. Before we go to the image, I almost forgot to show you, we also have midtones. So let's click on mids 1, and you'll notice we have nothing selected in the very light portions of the image, and nothing selected in the very dark portions of the image. But you'll notice we have like a gray tone here, so we're selecting some of the midtones in this area right here, okay? And this represents the midtones right across here. Now let's go to a mids 2, and notice the midtones got lighter, so we're selecting more of the midtones. We're still not selecting lights or darks. Now we'll go to mids 3. And the midtones get even lighter, so we're selecting more of the midtones, and we're still not selecting any of the lights or the dark tones. Okay, just wanted to point that out. Now we're going to see the power of how Luminosity Masks can help us, tonal balance out our images. Okay, so first off, let's come up here to the luminosity panel here, and let's click on the lights 1 mask, and we see a black and white image right here. And the light tones are what are being selected. The gray tones are being partially selected. Black tones are not being selected at all. So what if we wanted to balance out this image here? All right. So we'll start with the light tones. And I'm going to come right down here to output. And you see this little, I'll call it, and I hear a lot of people calling this the Hamburger Menu. So let's go with that, the Hamburger Menu. So let's click this. And we'll see we have all these different things we can do. We can use a curves adjustment, levels adjustment, any one of these different adjustments. We can adjust color, we can add a photo filter, we can burn, we can dodge. I'll show you, if we have a little bit of time at the end of this video, I'll show you dodging and burning through Luminosity Masks, which is really powerful. So maybe we'll get there. So let's start out with curves. I usually like to work with curves here when I'm going to balance out my image. So let's click on curves. And you'll notice right here we have a curves layer, and we have that luminosity mask got attached to the curves layer. Now if I hold the Option or Alt key down and click on that mask, you'll see there's a luminosity mask. Now remember, everything that is light will be receiving the adjustment, and everything is dark will be not receiving the adjustment, or if it's gray, it'll be receiving the adjustment to a lesser degree. So let's Option or Alt click this mask again. Now check this out. I'm going to click on the curves adjustment layer, and I'm just going to pull down on this curve here. And I'm just pulling the light tones down a little bit, but look how I'm popping out more detail in the image when I do that. So let's click this eyeball. So here's the before, and here's the after. Pretty cool, right? So that's the lights 1. Now let's come up and go to lights 2. And this is what lights 2 looks like. So now let's go to this Hamburger Menu and get another curves adjustment. And now we can either pull down on the lights 2, or we can pull up, depending which way you want to go. And which way do you want to go? The way it looks the best. And I'm thinking I'm going to pull those tones down a little bit too, because I'm liking the way this image is looking right here. So maybe just a little bit, maybe right there. So now let's come to lights 3. And nobody says you have to go and hit each and every one of these, but if the image takes it, then do it. If not, you can skip around and just pick the light tones that you want, or the dark tones. So now we're on 3. So let's go to the Hamburger Menu and get a curves, and let's see what happens if we go up. We can lighten those up, or we can darken them down. But look at these cool colors that are coming out in here. All right, so that's kind of fun. So let's maybe pull that one down a little bit too. Something like that. Now let's click this eyeball here, before and after. But you notice it's only targeting I believe that was lights 3 we were working with. Yeah, lights 3. And so let's Option click the background. Let's see where we've come so far. So we've come from here to here. So look at the nice improvement we've made so far just with Luminosity Mask. Now let's go to 4, and then we'll go to the dark tones. But now notice we're choosing less of the image here, and we're only going for the lighter light tones of the image. All right, so let's go to the Hamburger Menu and click on curves. But before I do that, I'm going to show you here. There is Where is it? Right here. See where it says I am? This is M stands for mask, I for image. So if you want to see the image again, you can just click this and see your image again. So that's kind of cool. I thought I wanted to point that out. So now we'll go to the hamburger menu here, and let's click curves again. So now let's see. Do we want to lighten those lighter light tones up or darken them down? And look, when I darken them down, I'm pulling out some more detail. Notice how I'm pulling detail out of this image that we didn't see before. But check that out. I'm starting to see some color popping up in here, and that's looking really nice. Now let's click this on and off. Okay, cool. So now we'll go to, we're up to 4. Let's go to 5. We're getting even narrower. I don't know if it's going to pay us much to play with this one, but let's see. And we'll put that on a curves, and or do I want to bring it up a little bit? Let's just bring it down and just a slight amount. I don't think I'm going to bother with 6. Let's click on 6 and see. So it's just this tone right here. I'm not going to mess with that one. So now let's go to our dark tones. Let's go to one of the dark tones. And now the light areas, these are the darker areas of the image here. Not the super dark areas, but darker tones of the image. So let's go on that one, and let's go to the hamburger menu and get a curves. Now let's see, do we want to lighten those tones up? And we might want to lighten those tones up a little bit. Let's see what happens if we darken them. Now let's lighten them up a little bit. Just a little bit like this. And if you wanted to maintain some contrast, you can come right here on the curve and just pull down a little bit. Just so because we are lightening up the dark tones, but sometimes you want to maintain a little bit of contrast. So you can pull down. Remember, when you put like an S-curve on a curve, you're adding contrast. So that's looking good. So let's click this eye here. Before and after. Now let's option click the background layer. So look where we've come. We've come from here to here. Pretty nice, right? All right, so now let's go to darks 2. All right. And let's get the hamburger menu here and get curves again. Now let's see, do we want to pull up on those or down on those? You know what? I might just pull down on those just ever so slight amount, right about there. Okay, so now let's go to 3. All right, and let's go to the hamburger menu and go to curves again. We could have got levels, but I usually like to work with curves. Whatever you like, you can work with. Let's darken those up a bit, see if we like that, or do we want to lighten those? Maybe we'll just darken those, just a very slight amount there. Now let's go to 4. And that's these tones in here. Let's go to the hamburger menu, curves, and here I'm going to pull down right here. Yeah, I'm going to darken those up a little bit, just a very little bit. And I could add a little bit of contrast there if I wanted by pulling up on the light side of this curve here a little bit. Now let's click on this eyeball. There's the before and after. Yeah, and I'm liking what's happening down here in these grasses here. And so now let's go to 5 and see. Those are really dark tones, and let's go to 6. Okay. Let's go to 5. I'll leave 6 alone. Let's go to the hamburger menu and curves. And now let's pull down on that. And now we're only targeting those very dark tones, which is really cool. Okay. So something like that. Now let's click this eye on and off. So as you can see, it's not doing a whole lot there, but it is doing a little bit, darkening those tones down. Let me just pull this down a little bit more here. Yeah, I'm going to pull it down a decent amount right there. Let's do it again. Here's before and here's after. All right, now let's option click the background layer so we can see where we've come. And this is a good way of tonal balancing out your image, especially if you're working with a RAW file right from Lightroom into Photoshop or from Camera Raw into Photoshop. But look at the difference. There's the after and here's the before. And that's just a stock image that somebody had completed. But look how we've brought more tone and it just looks better. The colors are popping better. So again, here's the before and here's the after. Okay, so we're tonal balancing out our image. All right, so we worked with the light tones, we worked with the dark tones. Now let's work with the mid-tones. So let's go to mids 1 here. Let's click this, and now we see an interesting looking mask. It's kind of gray and black. So we're selecting less of the information here, but we're only selecting mid-tone information, okay? And this is a mid-tones 1. So let's go to this hamburger menu again and click on curves. And this time, when we pull up, we're only targeting the mid-tones. Okay, so let's just give our midtones just a little, let's lighten them up a little bit, or we could darken them, depending what we like. You know, you might want to go either way. It really depends on what mood you're in. But for my case here, I think I'm just going to lighten them up just a little bit, not much. So let's click this eyeball before and after. So we just lightened up those midtones just a little bit, and I might even give them a little bit more. Something like right about there. Now let's take a look. Here's the before and here's the after. Okay. And let's option click the background layer. So we option or alt click. So here's the before and here's the after. Looking really cool. We're going to do a little bit of dodging and burning through Luminosity Masks. But before I do that, I want to do one more thing here with the midtones. Let's go to midtones 2. This is something really cool. And I learned this from Tony Kuiper. It's called Magic Midtones. Okay. And it basically what it is you could use any one of these midtone masks. I'm going to choose 2 here. Because it's right in the middle, that's why I'm choosing it. No rhyme or reason here, but it's going to work nicely. So we're going to put it on a curves adjustment layer here. But this is really cool. And what Tony Kuiper means by the magic midtones is if you take the midtones, select just the midtones, and add a little bit of a S-curve to them, you will pop some really beautiful contrast into those midtones. So check this out. We're just going to lighten the lights up a little bit here, and we're going to darken the darks. But we're only doing this in the midtones, okay? So let's click this eyeball. Here's the before, and here's the after. Isn't that beautiful? Look how our eye is coming right into the center of the image here now, just by adding that little contrast adjustment to the midtones. So pretty darn cool. And if you want too much, you can always pull the opacity back. So I wanted to just show you that. Really a cool thing to do. Now on to some little bit of dodging and burning, and we'll be done. Let's clean things up a little bit before we dodge and burn. So I'm going to show you an action inside of this panel here, which is really cool. Say we wanted to take all this tonal adjustment right here and put it in a group just to clean up this this layer stack here a little bit. So we're on curves 12. Let's come down to curves 1 and hold the shift key down and click. We're selecting all those. Now you see this icon right here, black and white. It's a file folder here. If you click black, you'll put this in a black group with a black layer mask on it. If you click on this one, you'll just put this in a group. So let's click this and you'll see. So it's group 1 with a white layer mask, meaning everything's revealed through it. So now we could call this tonal balance, because that's what we've done to our image. We tonal balanced it out. And actually, when you tonal balance an image out like this, you can do this really fast with these masks. Luminosity Mask probably within about 3 to 4 minutes. Really, really a quick job. So there you go. So now we can click here. Here's our before and here's our after. But great results, right? Now on to dodging and burning. Let's say we wanted to lighten up some of these grasses here and some of these grasses back in here. So we want to dodge those and lighten them up a little bit. I'm going to introduce you to another tool on this panel here, and this little picker tool. And this works with the color range of Photoshop. So let's click on this tool right here. And we get an eyedropper tool, and it's a color picker tool. And so let's pick one of these lighter colors in here, say like maybe right here, and click OK. And watch what it does. It will make a luminosity mask based on that color there. Now you can come to this levels adjustment right here for modify, and I told you I would show you this later. So let's adjust this a little bit. We want to make those grasses, want to make the darks around the grasses a little darker. So I'm going to move this levels adjustment this way a little bit. And I want to make the lights a little lighter, so I'll pull this side in a little bit. See how the grasses are getting lighter? And then I could come here and make those darks even darker, so I can really isolate them. That's the power of this luminosity mask. And remember, this is just an intro, but you can see how I've just lightened these grasses. And look at these nice light grasses back in here, okay? And let's maybe lighten those up a little bit more. Now you got to watch here. You don't want to go too much or you won't get nice feathering action. So you want to be careful here. You don't want to block those tones up too much. But somewhere right around there I think is going to be nice. Now let's come to the hamburger menu here. Click it. And right here we have burn and dodge. So let's click on dodge. And when you do, it gives you a blank layer. It sets your paint swatches up to white paint, so you can dodge with white paint. Put you in an overlay blend mode. And all you have to do is adjust your opacity for your brush. And it also selects your brush tool for you. So I usually start out around 10 to 20. So let's do 10. And now this is like, I like to say that when you're dodging and burning with Luminosity Mask, it's like dodging and burning on training wheels. It really protects you and helps you. Okay, so watch, we're just going to start to paint over these grasses here. And we don't have to be that careful here. So that's 10%. Let's give them another 10%. So we're giving them 10%. Every time I go over them, they get a little bit lighter. Now let's click on the eye here. See how they just got a little bit lighter? Isn't that cool? And let's maybe hit them one more time. And the Luminosity Mask is protecting you, which is really cool. So let's click the eye one more time, before and after. Now we can come back on these grasses. I'm going to make my brush a little smaller using the left bracket key. And let's just paint over some of these grasses back in here, dodge these up. Isn't this fun? Isn't this cool? I just love Luminosity Masks. And I hope you agree and can see the power here. And I don't have to worry, it's not going to affect the dark tones. It's only affecting these light tones. Okay, so let's click. Now watching this area up back in here. So here's the before and here's the after. See how we just dodged those up? Now we dodged. Now let's do a little bit of burning. Now for some burning, let's use the picker tool again. And say we want to darken up some of these clouds up in here, okay? Just the darker clouds, just to give them a little more impact. So let's pick one of those tones in there. Click right there, and you can see it pick that tone right there and click OK. Now we're going to come to the same levels adjustment here, and this is awesome for just kind of customizing your masks here. They call this infinitizing your mask, okay? Just to give you a little technical term. So let's just, so we want to make the areas around it a little bit darker, so I'm moving this way a little bit. I want the light areas to get a little bit lighter, so I'm moving the levels this way. And now I want the darks to go even darker. Now remember, you don't want them to go so dark where they start to block up on you and you lose that feathering action, so you got to be careful. But maybe let's just lighten them up a little bit more and pull the darks. Maybe right around there. Click on the Hamburger menu, come up to Burn. Now when you click Burn, it's going to set you up in a soft light blend mode, and it's going to give you black paint. And there's our layer mask. If I option click it, you can see it right there. Okay, and we're only targeting the dark parts of the clouds up here. So make sure you're on the actual blank layer here. We're on black paint. I'm starting out at 10%, so let's just start out with 10%. And remember, you don't have to be very careful when you paint. You just paint across her. I'm using a Wacom tablet and pen just to do this. So there's 10%. Let's throw another 10% on it. So I'm just, again, we're burning with training wheels, which is really, I think, a good way of saying it here. So let's click this here, before and after. So there's a before and after. See how I just darkened them a little bit? And I could darken them some more, but I think that looks good for this image, and the balance of the image looks nice. But now what if I wanted to darken these clouds in the water here a little bit? So let's just do that, and then we'll be done. So let's get our picker tool again, and let's pick one of these darker tones here. And there's the tone it's selected. Click OK. And again, let's modify it a little bit here. Okay, something like that. And let's make it a little bit lighter by pulling the levels this way a little bit. And let's darken the areas around it by pulling this part of the level a little bit right around in there. Something like that. Let's lighten them up a bit more. Something like that. And now we'll get the Hamburger menu, and now we'll go to Burn again, and we'll do it one more time. I'm still on 10% paint, and I'm just going to paint over these dark areas in here. Let's click the eyeball here, on and off, and see how it just darkened them up a little bit. And again, I'll hit them one more time, before and after. And if you felt you went too much, come to the opacity here, pull it off, and then just put it right where you think it is. And let's say, you know, right around 83%. So here's a before and after. So now let's throw these dodging and burning layers in a group. So the top layer burn is selected. I'll hold the shift key down and click the bottom dodge layer here. And let's put those in a group, in a white group with a white layer mask on it. And let's call this dodge and burn. Okay, so now we can see everything we've done. So let's look at our dodging and burning. So let's click this eyeball. There's our dodging and burning. Pretty cool, right? And here's our tonal balance right here. And now let's option click the background layer. So we've come from this image and we come to this image right here, all through Luminosity Masks. I think you'll agree they're very powerful. I love them. You need to give them a try. Before I go, I just wanted to show you, this is Tony Kuiper's website here, and I'm going to link this in the description below. You can get the TK Basic V6 panel for free that you can absolutely use. It's a cut down version, but everything I've done today basically, except for maybe the dodging and burning, you can do right with this panel here. So all the tonal balancing and things, you could do it so you could try it out and you can get it for free. So I'm going to link that in the description below. I hope everyone enjoyed this video today. I had a great joy in bringing it to you because I love this TK7 Rapidmask luminosity panel. Give it a try. You can download the free version like I just said. If you want me to do more of these type of videos, please let me know. I'd really appreciate it, and I'll be happy to make some more. So if you enjoyed the video today, please like it and share it with your friends. And also, if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and click that bell notification icon. And this way, every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified about it. Please leave comments and questions in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Hey, thanks again for joining me today in The Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly, and I'll see each and every one of you right here next time. But until then, happy editing.